pray for us real quick before we start. Heavenly Father, thank you for having us all here today. I thank you that you know all our stories and that you brought us all here in your will for a reason. As I speak today, I pray that you would give me wisdom and that I would be speaking out of your spirit, that I wouldn't say anything that's untrue, that you would be revealing to us the ways that you're working even behind the scenes and just moving in all of our hearts today. Would you help us to be open and sensitive to your spirit, and would you help us to understand your love a little bit more and love you a little bit more as well. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay. Hello, amazing. I think I know all of you. So I spent the past year in Tokyo, Japan, on a mission trip. Technically, it was an internship with an organization called Crew, and I got involved with this Christian group when I was in UCLA. It was a Christian club on campus, and with them, I went on 2 mission trips for just a month during the summer. And then last year, I decided to go for a year, and I know my family was very sad. Many of you were very sad. I was very sad. But it was a really great year, and I'm very excited to be able to tell you guys about it now. So some of you might remember last August, I went to Chicago, and this is where I met my team, my intern team. And this is all of us. There are 9 of us. And we met for the first time. We knew that we were going to be living in the same share house together. We were going to be working together, doing everything together, and we were strangers, which is a very strange feeling. Just knowing we're probably going to become a family, like best friends, but right now I've never seen you before. So that was really a journey, and actually, I think one of the sweetest things about my last year was this team.
You didn't.
Oh. Okay, this is my team. So yes, this was in August of last year, and I had the honor of being one of the team leaders for this team. So that's me, and that's my co-leader. His name is Luke, and it's funny because I was the youngest one on the team. And he was the oldest, so we kind of bookended everyone else. He was 26, and I was 22 when I left. It was a really sweet year. When we started out, we were pioneering a new part of Tokyo where there was no previous crew movement there. We were going to go work with college students, but we were on new campuses. We didn't have any connections there. Also, it was technically illegal for us to be on those campuses. So we just came in feeling like, all right, what are we doing here? And then Luke and I were supposed to leave. And we're like, okay, we've been here a couple times, but we've never tried to start something new. And so when we first started out, this was our very first staff meeting. You can't really tell, but we're meeting in a karaoke room because we didn't have a building or any church that we had partnered with yet. We were very new. And so we were kind of scrambling, like, where are we gonna meet and plan stuff, and how are we going to invite students over, because our rooms were very, very small. We were all living in basically like shoeboxes, so we couldn't all fit in one of our bedrooms. So we decided to go to a karaoke place, which they're everywhere and they're very cheap. So this is the start of our movement. We would go to karaoke rooms in the morning, and they have something called Drink Bar, which is like unlimited soft drinks and coffee. So we just go there, we'd have some miso soup and coffee. And it was really nice, except for the fact that every time we were praying, there's like people like singing really loudly outside and screaming, and there's like always background music and flashing lights. So that was fun. But luckily we got blessed to partner with the church very soon after that. And the church actually said to us, we had no prior relationship with them, but they said, actually, we've been praying for someone like you to come for over a year. We really wanted some group to be able to use our building when we're not using it. And so they were just so generous and so welcoming to us, so we didn't have to be in karaoke rooms anymore. Our daily life when we first started out was going to campuses every day. This was one of the campuses that I went to. As a team, we went to 4, but I went to 2. This is Rikyo University, and this was a particularly rainy day, but as you can kind of tell, it's very beautiful. And when we first got there, Some people on my team had never been to Japan before. I had been quite a few times, so I had a lot of friends, but none at these campuses, and a lot of people, didn't really speak the language. We're all new. We're just trying to find our way around this new campus without looking like we weren't students there, because we weren't really supposed to be there. So it was very interesting and a little bit scary at first. Starting out, we would just go up to new people every day at lunch and ask if they spoke English, if we could sit with them, and then we kind of ask some just surface level questions and tell them that we're Christians and see if they're interested in discussing their beliefs, their values, hearing about ours. And so that's kind of how it started off. And so in the beginning, it's just meeting a lot of new people every day. It was super fun, also super nerve-wracking. We got a lot of rejections. We also met a lot of people that became friends for a long time. The top left corner, this was my teammate on the left. Her name is Catherine. It was Catherine and my first day at this campus. And we met, the very first student that we met, on the right, her name is Yuki. And we met her on the first day, and she was like one of the last people that we saw because she just became a really good friend to us and super interested in hearing about our beliefs, very interested in sharing kind of how Buddhism affected Japanese culture with us. And so we had a lot of really, really good intellectual talks and discussions. And she is going to be doing a weekly Bible study starting back up soon because Catherine on the left actually just flew back to Japan today, or yesterday, to go back for a second year. And so she gets to connect with Yuri again and do a Bible study with her weekly. So I'm very excited about that. These are just pictures of people that I met all at the beginning. Just really sweet. A lot of those connections lasted throughout the whole year. And then there are some people that I got to see again that I knew. This is Mikumiko. I'm not sure if you guys remember, but my very first summer mission, I came back and I told you guys about her. She had accepted Christ a couple weeks before I arrived in Tokyo. And when I first met her, I had no idea. She was super mature. She was explaining how Japanese view the gospel, all these things to me, and then I found out she had just become a Christian, and I was really shocked. But it's really sweet to see her. I guess the first time I met her was 2016, and so to see her now 2019, and just see her growth. She's now elementary school teacher. She's graduated, so just cool to see how she is sharing her faith in the workplace. And also, my duties included things like leading staff meetings. And so, this was a picture while we were undergoing some training on how to share the gospel in a Japanese context, because, of course, the culture is very different from America, but that's actually very critical, especially when we're talking about faith and religion and spirituality, because it's super interconnected with culture and with our beliefs and with our experiences and foundation. So I just want to share a little bit about Japanese culture, American culture. I'm not sure if you can see that, you can read that, but I'll read it for you. So sociologists say that there's kind of a spectrum from low to high context in terms of cultures, and what that means is low context cultures on the left. You don't need to know much about the situation to know what's going on in any given interaction. We in America are a pretty low context culture, so we believe that knowledge should be public and external and accessible. Everyone should be able to have access to the same knowledge. We make a lot of short-term interpersonal connections. We think that knowledge should be transferable. You should be able to share things to each other. That should be very straightforward. And we think of time and space and activities and relationships as very different. And then high context, which is Japan, is very different because they have an internalized understanding of what is communicated, which means there's a lot of nonverbal, for example, like gestures, a lot of nonverbal things that communicate different information in Japan. As an American, I still can't really tell what facial expressions or someone looking at their watch, that actually means something really big. In America, it's just a glance, but in Japan that means I don't really want to be talking to you, or I need to go, or I'm already late, but I felt bad saying goodbye. So there are a lot of things that you should just be able to know just from being with someone. A lot of things that aren't said, they're very vague, but in Japan, this is the culture so everyone understands what it means. They really value long-term relationships. So most people are still in contact with their friends from kindergarten and first grade and second grade. And they think of the strength of a friendship is based on how long you've known that person, not necessarily how deep, because relationships don't always go deep. And they think about knowledge as situational and relational, so it's okay if not everyone knows the same information. If you're in the situation, you'll know, and you can kind of just like know by being there. And they have multiple cross-cutting ties and intersections with others, which just means that they don't really necessarily have a separation of these are these people, these are my work friends, these are my school friends, but it's kind of more interconnected. So just for kind of visual help, this is kind of a spectrum of different cultures, from low context on the left to higher context on the right. So you can see America, like fourth in there. A lot of Western cultures on the left, and then on the right we have Asian. Japan is actually the highest context culture, which means if you don't know what's going on, if you can't read the air or read the situation, you have no idea what's happening underneath. You think that you do, because everyone's like speaking and you understand the language, but actually there's a lot going on underneath that you don't. So when I first got there, when our team first got there, we didn't realize there was so much going on that we missed. But the longer that you're there, you realize there are patterns, things that are happening. At first, I thought, why is this person behaving this way? But now it's happened so much, I think there's something we're missing. And so a big part of our job was to become cultural learners. So I kind of made a list of 10 different values that are different between America and Japan. And when I share these, please just have an open mind and be humble. And I'm not saying this to try to critique anything or say one thing is better than the other. Just trying to be objective, although I'm American, so this is not quite objective. But these are some things that we, as a team, had to kind of figure out and try to understand, because the gospel that we were preaching was coming from Americans, and so it was coming from our own experience and our point of view, but the people we're communicating to, a lot of times they don't understand that, or that doesn't connect with them. This is not the gospel that I need, I'm not interested in this. And it sounds very American to them, and so we kind of had to try to be more open-minded and also look back on our lives and think, okay, how did American Christianity shape what I believe today about the Bible, and how can I kind of try to look at the Bible like just a fresh view, look at it for the first time, pretend that I don't know anything about it. And so it's very difficult, but we were there for a year, so we had a lot of chances to do it. So the first value I wanted to share is control of environment. So in America, we often think humans have control over nature or their environment. Like, we can change things. If we don't like the way something is, we should change it. Whereas in Japan, humans work together with nature and the environment, so there's harmony. People don't want to change the status quo. You adapt to kind of be okay with the status quo. So you don't want to ever cause conflict, which means sometimes people are very like surface level, everything is fine, but underneath they're very unhappy. But it's okay because they're keeping harmony, and so that's very important to them. In America, we think of progress as like anticipating the future, thinking about what's going to happen next, and then taking steps to get there. But in Japan, they think a lot about their history and traditions, and they want to be guided by that. And so it's very special to them. It's like very sacred. They often talk about their history and about their traditions, and everyone knows those things. Whereas in America, American history is just a subject I learned in high school, and I don't really remember much of it. But in Japan, it's like lessons that are ingrained in you from childhood. In America, we value comfort and convenience a lot. We're very materialistic. And so is Japan, actually. They also really value convenience. They really value ease. They want everything to be like easy and quick and fast. And so that's, as an American, it's very easy for me to live in this society because I can get anything I want anywhere all the time, and it's always accessible, which is very nice. So those values are pretty similar. In America, we value personal success, and so we have a lot of high self-esteem, which means like we believe that we can do things, and we're very ambitious, and we want to accomplish new things and pioneer. Whereas in Japan, it's more of societal success, so what benefits society, not just you. And so it's important to follow social order and to be content with how things go, because your success is based on how good of a person you are. So if you're not successful, well, that's kind of what you deserve. And so just keep working on yourself. Rather than trying to change the situation around you, try to change yourself. And then in America, we're very autonomous. We believe that we're responsible for our own actions. Where in Japan, they think a lot about destiny. So they kind of think what happens will happen. We can't always control how things will go. And so it's important to think about how your decisions affect other people's, because maybe their destiny will be determined by something that you do. We have kind of this, going back to our history, like Puritan work-life balance. We want to work really hard, but we also think that our professional life should be very serious and professional and separated from our play. But in Japan, really like work is ingrained in a part of their life, and so a lot of their friends and their daily life centers around work, and so all their friends usually go to their work, and after work they always go out together and they drink a lot in Japan, a lot. And so in America we think like we don't hang out with our coworkers after work, we just want to go home and be with our families and separate that. But in Japan it's very acceptable to just have all of that be kind of together. In America we value morals a lot, and so what's like objectively moral, it's very clear cut. Doesn't matter what the situation is, you should do this because this is right, even if it hurts people, even if people don't agree. Like we have this sense of this is just or this is right. Whereas in Japan, they really think about how they're connected with other people, and so harmony is what is right. There's no necessarily objective moral standard. It just depends on the situation, and so that's why sometimes people think Japan is very deceptive because they say things that they don't believe, or they just agree to things that they don't actually really care about. But it's because they value harmony so much and they value other people and their feelings, and so that's why that happens. We're very humanitarian in America, so we think that all people should be equal, and we have generosity and compassion for underdogs, whether that's in our own country or other countries. We always want to help out. We feel bad when we see other people who are suffering. In Japan, it's a lot more familial, and so it's kind of like you take care of your friends and your family and your country first, and that's really important. Not so much of this like we should try to help everyone kind of come up to the same level, but more of like we because we are related, like we are responsible for each other. However, they do have a lot of compassion for less fortunate countries. Not necessarily less fortunate people in their own country, but other countries. There's a lot of like trying to raise money and send aid to different countries. And then we have time orientation on the left. So in America, we think of time as linear. So once it happens, it's gone. You can spend it well, or you can waste it. And we always think about like the future. Once it happens, we don't really want to think about it anymore. We're just trying to move on. In Japan, they kind of think of time as more cyclical. So I think this especially comes from kind of a Buddhist thought of reincarnation. And so things that happen in the past in history and tradition, they kind of repeat themselves. And so it's important to know what happened in the past and think about that in order to be able to better predict what will happen in the future. And then last, scientific orientation. So in America, we are comforted by objective facts and figures to predict our life. We always want to study things and know, what are the facts so that we can better be prepared for whatever's going to happen. Because we're thinking about the future. Whereas in Japan, it's important for them to know the facts. They do want to know, and they are objective in a lot of ways, but they also think not all problems are rational and can be solved by science. And so there are some things that just happen and there's no explanation, which is confusing and frustrating to me when you're trying to I'm trying to be logical about the gospel, and they're like, well, maybe, that's not exactly how it works, or maybe there's no objective truth, or maybe there's no one religion. And in my mind, I'm thinking, that doesn't add up. But for them, they're thinking it's possible. Like, different people have different feelings and different thoughts. There's no necessarily right and wrong. And so that was something big for me that I thought about a lot. And the reason why these things are really important is because, it completely changes the way that people read the Bible and the way that they think about Christianity, about each other, what religion should be. And so I had the awesome opportunity of being in a small group at my church. There are actually a lot of churches in Japan. A lot of them are very small, not as many as in America. But a lot of Japanese people are surprised, like, oh, there are 3 churches in this town? I didn't think there were any Christians. Like, oh yeah, there actually are. And my church was very international, and so these are some people from my small group. So we had kind of a Bible study every Sunday after church, and these are people from all over the world. And so it was really cool to be a part of this culture that wasn't American, but it also wasn't Japanese. And everyone was coming from a place of, okay, what is your opinion on this? How do you view the Bible when you read this? And not trying to say, okay, let's read this and say, like, this is right, this is what the Bible says, this, but more of, like, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Like, let's try to be a biblical, like, culture instead of a specific region's culture. And so that was really, really sweet. And I think I got to see a little bit of heaven and what that's going to be like. Just seeing God reflected in so many different cultures, because there's no one right culture in the world. There's no one culture that this is like heaven, this is God. But we need little parts of all of them to really see God more clearly. And so I think diversity is really important. That's what I realized this year. And so in that, our team was planning a lot of events. These are some of the events that we have throughout the year, and trying to think of how to build a community that is like that. It's not just Japanese, it's not just American. We also had international students from around the world coming to our movement. And so we're trying to think of how to share a biblical gospel, not an American gospel, although we're all Americans, so that was very difficult. But we got to welcome a lot of students and see a lot of people come and get to hear the gospel. We had a bowling outreach, we had Thanksgiving, we had Christmas, and it was really cool because students aren't necessarily interested in learning about spiritual Christianity and about religion in Japan, because they're very, they say, like, non-religious. And they're actually kind of afraid of organized religion because they think about cults and they think about terrorism. And they actually have a history of that in their country. And so they're trying to stay very distant from identifying as any particular group. But they're very interested in learning about culture, so we get to share, okay, we're going to celebrate Thanksgiving with you. We'll show you what we eat. We'll show you how we celebrate Christmas, because they also celebrate Christmas in Japan. But it's a day for couples instead of for families, and so we got to share, what that's like for us. We got to do a gift exchange, which they didn't know what that was. So just things that we take for granted that are very normal traditions. And so one of the events that we had every week was English time, where we just invited students to come. We had free English conversation practice. We'd have topics and games and slang every night that we would teach them. And that just brought people in who weren't necessarily interested in religion. But then from that, we would try to kind of get into some deeper topics, like maybe our English discussion topic would be, what do you think is success? And so that can kind of lead to some different, like, deeper conversations. And from that, we try to steer people towards our Bible study every week. And so when we first started out, our Bible study, nobody came, which makes sense because we didn't know anyone at the beginning of the year. And then halfway through the year, we had 2 people who would come semi-regularly. Sometimes no one would show up. And so this was like 6 months in, and we're like, what are we doing here? Because no one is coming, and we don't really have any, like, relationships that are building consistently towards spiritual conversations. We're here to start a movement, but we have no momentum. And so we prayed a lot, and by the end of the year, these were our group pictures at the end of the night. And so if you look, you see a lot of the same faces because so many people just showed up. Either they had recently become Christian in America when they studied abroad, or they had just known us for a while and decided they were comfortable enough to let us talk to them about Christianity. But they started coming really regularly, and that was really cool. And then from that, our Bible study was like, let's read this passage together. We will all answer these questions. There's no leader, no facilitator. And we had 3 questions every week, which is, when you read this passage, what does it say about God? What does it say about humans? And what does it say about obedience? And so that gave everyone the opportunity to share their thoughts without anyone facilitating and saying, no, you're wrong, or this is what it says. But we got to share together what we thought, and it helped people learn, especially people who didn't know how to read the Bible. Like, okay, I can do this on my own. I don't need someone to teach me, but I can ask these questions and think about it myself, and that was really, really beautiful.
Naomi, what were the questions again?
What does this passage say about God? What does this passage say about humans? And what does it say about obedience? Okay? So that was that. And I want to share just a couple students that really impacted me this year. The first one is Risako. I had the joy of discipling her for only about a month before she graduated and moved out of Tokyo. But it was super sweet. She was growing in her faith slowly over the years, and I had heard about her on my previous summer missions, but I had never met her. But when we met, we really clicked, and she asked me to disciple her before she graduated. And that was just a lot of joy that she brought to my life. It was really fun. And she said, I was like, what do you want to study together? And she said, I want to learn about the Old Testament. I was like, oh geez, okay. We have a lunch to do an overview of the Old Testament. She wanted to know about the history and about the context and the culture. Oh my gosh, okay, this is really a challenge for me. But actually, I feel like I grew so much from that, and I'll share about that in a little bit. But let's see, okay, next is a girl on the far left. Her name is Michio. The girl in the middle, her name is Emily, she's my teammate. We met Michio just randomly. She was sitting on a bench one day. We didn't really want to go sharing on campus. We were like, okay, everyone's rejecting us, maybe we should just leave. And then we saw this girl sitting on a bench. Her shoes were just like peeking out around the corner. Those look like girls' shoes. Just talked to her. And it turned out that she was really interested in Christianity because she was raised in France. And so she was like, I heard about Christianity there. I used to go to church, but I don't really know what Christians believe. And so we got to share that with her. And then she said, I have some other friends that also think deeply. Maybe you would want to talk to them. So we said, okay. And so she, on the left, introduced us to Mako, who in the middle picture. She's the one on the right with the bangs. And when we first met her, her English wasn't the best, and our Japanese was far worse. And so we thought, we don't know how deeply we'll be able to talk to her. So we were a little bit worried. We didn't know where that would go. But actually, Mako is like one of the deepest thinkers that I've met. And she had so many questions about Christianity. Most Japanese people don't, because they don't think about it. But she had really thought about it. So she asked us a lot, and she started coming to our Bible studies. She invited her friends. That was super sweet. And she didn't accept Christ yet, but we still talk a lot, actually, when we talk on the phone. And she always asks me questions about the gospel and about the Bible. And I think it's cool she's still pursuing it, even though our team left. And so I'm excited that the new team is going to get to follow up with her as well. And then on the right, that's just a picture of me, Michio, and Mako together with us. We went to karaoke. And then for the next one, can you guys cover the camera for a second, because this is confidential information. So this last person, I'm gonna call her Cynthia. She was an exchange student from China, and so that's why I don't want her picture to be online. But she moved into our share house, and she was my neighbor towards the end. I think she moved in in May, maybe. So towards the end of our time there. And super sweet. You can tell she looks so cute. Like, look how adorable she is. And just honestly, like, really interested in hearing about the gospel. And her grandma was a Christian, and so she had some exposure to it. But yeah, she was really interested. She had a lot of questions, especially about LGBTQ stuff, because those are topics not really talked about in her country, and it was something that she had her own questions about, and she wanted to know what we thought about it. And so there was a lot of discussion between her and I about that, and what I believe the Bible says about that. And so that was a really cool thing that I didn't expect to come out of this year. But I feel like we both grew a lot. And then by the end of our year there, I think a week or two before we left, she accepted Christ. And that was really fun and really amazing. And she came into my room and we all gathered in there. It was so tiny and it smelled so bad because we're all sweaty at the end of the day. And she told us, and we were dancing. We started dancing. We played this happy birthday song for her, which is like our team's tradition. Every time it was someone's birthday, we did a song and we dance around them. And so we're like, it's your birthday, it's your spiritual birthday. So we danced around her in my room, which most people think that's very strange, but she was so excited. She said, I saw you guys do this last week for my birthday. And she was like, and I've always wanted to be in the middle. She's so cute. And so she's just so adorable, and I love her. And so we've been gone for a month, and she's kind of struggling with her faith now, so I appreciate prayers for her. Since we've been gone, she doesn't really have Christian community now. She was looking for a church when she left, but she became kind of discouraged, and she started having doubts just because she didn't really have anyone else around her, and her family started telling her things about what they thought about what she believed. And so I'm very excited that the new team is going to be there. I'm going to be community for her again and encourage her. But she had only been there she had only been a Christian for like a couple of weeks when we left, so I understand her faith is not rock solid, but she still prays and she was reading the Bible every day, and so I have a lot of hope for her, and I'm not really worried about her, but I think she's going through a hard time. So
What is her name again?
Cynthia. That's not her actual name, but you can refer to her. Okay, you can. Thank you. And then I just wanted to share one more thing, which was that in June, I tried to read through the entire Bible in a month, which was 60 chapters a day and about 3 hours of reading a day. And I got through the Old Testament before I was like, I can't do this anymore. I wasn't sleeping. Sometimes we would leave the house at like 8 a.m. and we get back at 9 p.m. and I'm like, I have to read for 3 hours now. And so it was just, at some point I realized this is more detrimental than beneficial to me. But reading through the Old Testament was super cool. It was very interesting to see it from a different perspective because being a minority in Japan, where almost everyone is Japanese, I stand out a lot. We all stood out a lot. And a lot of people had assumptions about us as Americans because they had stereotypes of America. And so people are kind of rude. They're very powerful. They have a lot of influence. They're very blunt. They're kind of cocky. They are very self-centered. And so sometimes when we would go on the train, people would move away from us because they thought we were going to be loud or we're going to start like making a mess or something, because America is very dirty compared to Japan. And so we experienced some like negative prejudices against us, but we also got to experience like privilege. Sometimes people would pull us to the front of the line at the airport because we were white, and I'm not sure if they were afraid that we would complain or if they just thought that we were special or something. But it was really interesting to see how we were treated, especially compared to people from other countries that weren't who weren't white, and they didn't get the same like priority treatment as we did. And so it was very interesting for me to be in that situation and be a minority and experience some just conflicting feelings about I don't really want to be treated special either way. And so that was a thought that I had. And so reading the Bible, reading the Old Testament, I noticed a lot how like God says over and over, like, be humble. Like, I've called you to be humble, be humble. And every time Israel starts to gain power and they have a lot of status, they start worshiping other gods and other idols and forgetting about God because they have this power now that's corrupting them and they don't know how to handle it. And so God decides, okay, you're not using this power right. You're mistreating people and you're not caring for people. And so I'm going to humble you. And then they go into exile, they become slaves. And during that time, they have to be humble because they have no power. And that's where God teaches them what it looks like to use power incorrectly when they're being abused by the authorities above them. And so it was really interesting for me to see what that looked like. Because a lot of times I just thought those cycles in the Old Testament are because they were just disobeying, they were doing the wrong thing, which is true. But it was also, I think, a lot more than just their individual, are they right or wrong? But it was also like a societal, how are they treating people? How are they treating their neighbors? And how are they, as a society, how are they loving people? And so I think that's more of the Japanese view, collectivism, that I got to get a little bit of while I was there. And so, yeah, just thinking about what it looks like to have power. And that's especially important because Japan, their stereotype of America is rude people, arrogant people, self-centered people, and they also think that almost everyone in America is Christian. And so those things together mean that their view of Christianity is very like self-centered people, very arrogant people, because Americans are Christian. And so they think of Christianity as American. They don't want that because they're not American. They don't realize there's more to Christianity than the country or the culture that it is believed in. And so yeah, that was interesting for me to see that and also see at the same time how God keeps saying, be humble, be humble. And we know that our country is not like 90% Christian. And we know that it's a lot more diverse than that, and there are a lot of different things going on. But yeah, that was just like, it felt like a hurdle to overcome. One, I don't want to be this stereotypical American. But two, I don't want to disown my country because I'm proud to be an American. So what does that look like? Kind of hold both of those things in tension and try to show what Christianity is like from an American's perspective, but not American Christianity, biblical Christianity. And so it's just a long journey for me and my teammates this year, just learning a lot and trying to unlearn things from our own culture as well. But
So you were all doing it? You were all reading through the Bible?
no, that was just me.
Well, because it looked like all of you.
Oh no, that's just me a bunch of times.
Oh.
Every night.
Every time.
After I finish my reading, I would take a picture every night, and so that's just a couple of them. Okay, wait, no. Okay, you just go forward one. Thank you. So yeah, that kind of leads us to the end of the year. Had to say goodbye to a lot of people. This is like our farewell, also my birthday party for my small group in the top left corner. Underneath that was a lot of students from our movement and also the other movement in Tokyo. We all got together and had a goodbye party. And then on the right side, this is me with like 1, 2, 3, 5 of my close Japanese friends, and they took me to a fireworks festival. That was my last week in Japan. It was really sweet because half of them are Christian, half of them weren't, and so they were sharing with each other throughout the day. That was really sweet. And also speaking almost entirely in Japanese, so I was like, I don't really know what's going on, but it's not my responsibility because you guys are being witnesses, so that was really sweet. And then we also had to say goodbye to each other, so we said farewell. We all came from different places around the country, so I was the only person from UCLA. There was someone from Tennessee, from Texas, Idaho, Oregon, Arizona, all over California, and so it was really sweet to be together, but also we're like, we have to support each other from far, so that was difficult. But it was a really good year overall. These are all the students that came to like our goodbye party at the end. And so, somewhere on the left side, I don't really know, but yeah, so it was really sweet to have all of our staff, people from all over America, all over the world coming together, whether they're Christian, whether they're interested in Christianity, or whether they just knew that they liked Christians, and Christians were nice. It was a really, really sweet year. And then lastly, I just wanted to show some fun things that I did. I saw Mount Fuji, saw a lot of temples that looked like this. This is generic. On the bottom left, I'm sorry, it's really small, but my boyfriend David came to visit. I think some of you have met him. We've been dating for like 2.5 years now, and he came to Japan, which was interesting for him because he's full Japanese by blood, but hadn't been to Japan before, and so kind of getting to connect with this culture. Also interesting, everyone assumed he was just Japanese, so that was something. We got to go to Thailand for a conference in the middle of the year, that middle picture, and we were on a random boat, and we met 2 Japanese girls who were there, and then one of them became really good friends with us, and we kept seeing her in Japan. We would meet with her all the time, and so she came to the airport and said goodbye to us when we left, which is crazy. But yeah, she was really cool. And then the bottom right corner, we went to the northmost part of Japan, which is called Hokkaido, in the winter, and it was snowing, and I had never seen snow before, so saw a lot of snow there. But yeah, it was just really cool. And then I just included some pictures of kind of what my daily life looked like, because it wasn't always this. A lot of times it was this. And my team really liked to take pictures of me sleeping on the train. So I slept on the train a lot. So the middle one, this is the first, the second one is the very first time they ever saw me sleeping on the train. It was our first week, and I was standing up. And so they thought that was really funny, but that was very normal to me because I hadn't been there for starting. But yeah, I slept a lot, sometimes with my mouth open. So weekly I took a nap on the train. And other people do too. A lot of people are sitting on the train because it's silent. You don't really talk. So you're either on your phone, you're reading a book, or you're sleeping. So yeah, it's a lot.
Is that you wearing a banana?
I'm not wearing it, but someone drew a banana on the picture, and I'm not really sure why he did that, but he just drew random things on pictures of people. So yeah. But yes, so that was kind of my year. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me after. I have many more thoughts and pictures I couldn't share here. But yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys for supporting me in prayer and finances, and I just want you guys to know that, there's nothing special about me, and there's nothing special about my team that meant we got to do this because we were more mature or whatever, more holy, more righteous. It was nothing like that. It was really just God's grace of that being where He wanted us for the year, and it's the same way for everyone, where God wants us for this period of our life, where we get to witness and we get to be His ambassadors there. And so, I just wanted to thank you guys because you also had a part in all the things that you just saw. It wasn't just me doing this or just the Holy Spirit. It was the Holy Spirit from you guys and from me doing all these things. And so, I just wanted to say thank you. And I love you guys. There's my team. So I'm also wearing the same jacket. But that's it. Thank you.
I noticed the first picture of your team, you said, I didn't know them. We're gonna know each other. It was a wide picture. Everybody was kind of in their distance. The last picture you showed of your team, real small, it was and a family. Very deep.
Yeah, thank you. We still keep in contact. We're messaging each other in our group chat a lot, and talking to each other. And when you live and work alongside people, there's conflict. We have conflict, but when you're committed to working through it and not trying to focus, on yourself and being right or feeling good, then you can kind of make some sacrifices for each other. And so we made a lot of sacrifices for each other. I think that really built our bond here.
What are you going to be doing now?
Oh, good question. So I'm applying to grad school now. I study psychology in college, and my ultimate lofty, faraway goal is to become a professor. And so I'm applying to grad school now in the process of that, and I really like research. So think I'll be studying actually it's kind of related to this. I want to study cognition, which is how people think, and I want to study how that's affected by language and culture. So, yeah, my time in Japan really affected just how I view people and how I think. Maybe other people aren't always thinking the same thing that I am, which is I always used to assume I know how you feel because I know the situation. I know how I would feel in that situation. Now I know that's not true at all, and I was very arrogant for thinking that. But yeah, I just kind of want to understand people and diversity. So.
Thank you for explaining about the different, how the people think in Japan towards different. I never realized that, what a huge part of missions and evangelism that is.
Yeah.
We just think we could just go out and share the gospel,
Yeah.
and that just was eye-opening.
Yeah, it's really different, especially even the verses that we use. In America, everyone knows these Bible stories from their childhood, and they think they know some things about Noah and Jonah and Moses and stuff like that, and they have some associations. So if you went to talk to someone on the street, they probably already have some preconceived notions about. I know what Christianity is. I know these stories. They teach you some good things. But in Japan, it's very different, and so it's kind of nice in a way to have a clean slate of people don't necessarily think, I already know what Christianity is. I know it's just some good stories to help me do the right thing. But at the same time, there's other things of like, what verses mean something to you, and what is it that you're searching for? That in America, we say Christianity means you can go to heaven, or Christianity means you don't have to feel guilty, or you don't have to have shame. But maybe in Japan, it's Christianity means you can be a part of a heavenly family, and you have the honor that God bestows upon you, and you belong. And those are things that we don't always focus on as much in America, and a lot of times we say, a lot of times we're also preaching to people who grew up Christian, who are no longer following the faith. And in Japan, there aren't a lot of Christians like that, because once you decide, okay, I'm going to be Christian, you're like all in, because you've had to sacrifice a lot to even get to that point. And so people don't often go back, and it doesn't become a very just like cultural lukewarm thing. People are like really on fire because they really had to think about that choice a lot. Where in America, we don't. We can kind of choose how we want to live day to day, who we want to tell that we're Christian. But in Japan, they really like transform their whole lives. So it's very different.
Wow. Praise God. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you guys.
Thank you.